welcome to Media and More. Now, normally at this point I'd be saying, hello fellow builders and welcome back to the bench. I'm the Mediocre Modeler. Well, I am still the Mediocre Modeler, but as I said in my last video, I wanted to give myself a venue to expand beyond models. Because there's so much sci-fi, there's so many other things. For example, as I was building the Tesla gun, I was watching Warehouse 13 to gain inspiration and find other angles of the Tesla gun that I might be able to see that were readily available out there on the internet. And in the process, I remembered how good that show was, and I just started season 4. Maybe had I done this earlier, I might have gone episode by episode in that and could talk about it. I'm also playing on the PS4 Horizon Zero Dawn, The Forbidden West. Great game. Could sit down and do a review of that game before, during, and after it. There's always something going on, sci-fi related or television related, that maybe someone who's out there who's really into the model building may not have an interest in. So this gives us the opportunity to separate the two. If you want to watch the models, you've got that. If you want to watch and hear me talk about any number of other subjects, we have that too now. I'm not going to complain if you watch both. But the subject at hand for this inaugural episode is going to be Obi-Wan. And I thought, I don't know, it feels a little bit late to the party since it's already over, and you know, there are all kinds of interviews and you've seen all the rave reviews about it, but not everybody's seen it, and maybe you might be on the fence. Now, there's going to be spoilers in this one, so I guess that's just kind of irrelevant if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it and you really don't want spoilers, I'd say stop now and go watch the Mediocre Modeler. But I just wanted to go through some of the highlights of the Obi-Wan series. So let's start with the very first episode. It opens up pretty well. When it opens, you get the backlog of how we got to this point, which I think the highlights of, you know, the story, which is good. And when you open up with the Padawans on the deck with the Jedi Master, and the door opens, and then there's a clone trooper, and he shoots at her, and boom, you're in the action. I really, okay, this is Media and More, so I can nerd out. The up and the down. The action of that sequence was really good. I don't know who that Jedi Master was, but it was just, there was an argument at one point, is Star Wars without Jedi? And seeing, you know, before Ahsoka shows up in The Mandalorian and Bad Batch, I'd say yes. You can have Star Wars without Jedi. But there's something about the Jedi that I just love. I love what they stand for and how they move. When I was a kid, I got, you know, old Obi-Wan and asthmatic Darth Vader, and that's it. And so to see them in action as an adult, having these years of seeing good swordplay for the Jedi, has just been fantastic. You gotta question why. There had to be other things going on. They were outside on a patio. They didn't see the troopers coming in. You know, these troopers coming in, that was an issue. No one felt in the Force that other Jedi were being killed other places in the temple. But that's okay. It's okay. It starts off pretty good, I will have to say. And the reason I say it's a good start because I personally, when in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin goes to kill the kids, I didn't want to see that. No, nobody wants to see that. And when this opened up this way, I was really praying they weren't going to go down the path of, oh, hey, let's finish that up. Let's see some Jedi younglings getting slaughtered. So the tension was there. The fact that I felt like that was, okay, we're starting good. That's a good start. You're making me feel anxiety. Points for that. And let's jump forward to, you get down to Tatooine, and you get introduced to the Grand Inquisitor, the fifth brother, and the third sister. And the Grand Inquisitor, when he walks on, he evokes menace, intelligent menace. The fifth brother, he kind of evokes the unbridled, controlled menace. The third sister, we don't really know about her yet, so I don't know. She doesn't evoke menace, and I think that's going to be my problem with her through the whole series. You never get, and when you get to the end, maybe there's a reason for that, but for right now, I'm not afraid of her. And I should be afraid of all of them. And I'm just not. And that's kind of a problem. That's kind of a problem. But, and then we get introduced to Obiwan. And he's out in the middle of this desert, cutting up this desert fish. I need to look into that. I mean, because that desert's been there for a long time. So either it died and it was, I don't know. I don't know. But, they're cutting up this thing, and Obi-Wan is just, you can see he's been beaten down, and my brain is just like, I'm saying, no, Obi-Wan wouldn't do that. The sidebar to that is there was a book called I think it's called Kenobi by John Jackson Miller, and it kind of talks about this interim right after Obi-Wan was had after the events of the Revenge of the Sith, and I have to go back and see if it's a little bit closer to the time. It hasn't been this 10-year span, and he's same thing. He's kind of struggling, trying to hide and not be a Jedi. And maybe they can. And so, if you haven't looked up that story, it's a very good story. It's in the Legends line. And by the end of this, they could probably tack that story onto this. I think it would be a good lead into. So, hey, John Jackson Miller, good luck. But that's just my opinion. But you get the beaten down Obi-Wan. You get the overbearing working conditions he's in. I'm only getting half pay. I have a family to feed, and the guy doesn't care. And you see Obi-Wan kind of step up, and you think maybe he's going to do something, and he just backs down and walks away. So they've done a good job of showing a beaten down Obi-Wan. Now, this is after having seen the whole series. I was really, really dejected at this point. I felt like, well, can't we have him beaten down without having him so beaten down? Don't know. I've talked with a couple other friends, and it felt like the pacing was just a little bit slow. I'm not a media guy, movie guy, so I don't know what all the terminology is for this stuff. but just for me, it just felt like the pacing was just a little bit slow. I was like, let's move along. So I think in a way it took a little bit longer than it should have for that. But then, close Obi-Wan. He goes and he feeds his Hiopi, and you get the sense, this is his life day after day for the past 10 years. Blah, blah, blah. And then the surprising part to me is we go to meet young Princess Leia. And I was so pleasantly surprised because I did not want to see a young Luke. I knew that, and I was so afraid that was just we're going to be on Tatooine and he's going to be peeking over the sand dunes like a creeper at Luke, through the whole series. So getting introduced to young Leia was a very pleasant surprise. And you can see her life going on. She's doing the princess thing. She's a little bit rebellious and running off and doing her own little thing. And she does get into it with her cousin, but she puts him in his place. So again, good introduction all around. But this is a little bit where it kind of falls apart for me. So Leia destroys her cousin mentally. She's supposed to apologize, but she's a rebel, so she goes running off into the woods, where she meets the kidnappers. These have got to be the worst kidnappers on the planet. I mean, they can't catch her before she even gets to the woods, and the guy trips over a stump, and it's like, are you the worst? I have grandkids. I have had children, and trust me, when they messed up, if I was gonna snatch them up, I could snatch them up pretty quick. Okay, so that whole little romp through the woods, and then let's talk about the Alderaanian Royal Guard. First of all, you're a senator. You're important people. You're trying to keep her on the down low. There's no geofencing. There's no walls. There's no way to. She had Lola on her. There's no tracking device in Lola. I mean, come on, I mean, these are the things that I was just like, oh, come on. But they snatch her up, and then Obi-Wan gets the call, and I can't leave the boy. And he goes back to work the next day, comes back, Jedi's hung. Oh no, I should do something. And there's Bail. And I will say, I wasn't too sure about the acting for Bail there. But the one thing that really stuck was when he says to Obi-Wan, it's just like, you made mistakes. You failed with Anakin, and just, that's the past. Move on. And I don't know how I missed that through my first viewing. I was trying to catch so much. But just the fear on his face and everything there, it just worked so well. Go back to, the kidnappers on the ship, and, Lola's like, can you untie me? Why does this kid's droid have a cutting blade in that? Anyway, takes Lola, smashes Lola. Oh, poor Lola. In the final scene there, you get the Inquisitor. He will come. He fought beside her father. Again, it should have been a very menacing moment in that final scene for them. I should be, oh no, is somebody gonna go save Leia? You know, and I'm just not. You know, But Obi-Wan goes out to the desert, digs up his lightsaber. Well, you're coming or not, to get on the shuttle, and off he goes. And that would probably be the first. At that moment is when the musical cue for Obi-Wan really started to stick in my head. And I really like the music they've chosen for him. They've done a really good job with that. It's just, it's noble, it's heartfelt, they've done, and this is just the first episode, so I'm hooked. I'm in. And that closes episode 1. So my original plan in doing this was to just go through the whole series. And I decided against that. I wanted to, A, give you a chance to catch up and maybe put some comments in. And B, I think I'm going to watch the episode and then do my little commentary on it. And that way it's fresh for both of us. And that way we both did, because if I did the whole thing, it would be like an hour and a half, and people would be falling asleep, and they would be telling me, "Oh, come on, dude, the pacing is so slow, get on with it." And nobody wants that. But tell me what you think so far, and if you watched Obi-Wan, and we'll go through this little exercise together, and at the end of the series, we'll do a review and see, did Media and More work for us or not? But until next time, this has been the Mediocre Modeler, and this is the end of the first episode of Media and More.
Pew 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 pew.